I'll never forget that day, September 11th, 2001. I was actually in my master's program at the University of Maryland School of Social Work, and I was at my internship that day at the Public Defender's Office. And I just thought it was a normal morning, until somebody walked in and said, "Turn on the TV, turn on the TV." And we all watched in horror as the second plane hit the Twin Towers. And in that moment, the whole room froze. Something shifted in me because it was like God whispered to me that you're being called to serve. And that day, I declared that I was going to be active duty in the military because everything had changed. Everything changed in that room. And actually, the seeds of serving had actually been planted in me many, many years earlier because I was in junior ROTC. So I had wore the uniform and I had understood what it really meant to serve. And I did. I actually joined the Air Force as a first lieutenant and a clinical social worker. And I remember just being so bright-eyed. I was driven, I was focused, and I knew that I just wanted to make a difference in this world, and I was so successful in the military. I climbed the high ranks and, eventually I transferred into the United States Public Health Service where I got to wear Navy uniforms at this time. And I'll never forget the day that I actually found out that I made captain. And that's equivalent to a colonel in the Air Force. And I went online and I saw my name on that list. And I just stared in disbelief. I had worked so hard to make captain. I did everything. And I thought to myself, I made it. I finally made it. And all the sacrifices, the deployments, the sleepless nights, the trauma, everything that I had went through led to this moment right here. And my first thought was, I have to call my Nana, and that was my maternal grandmother who had actually raised me, the one who was always believed in me, but she was actually gone. She had transitioned. She was no longer here. And suddenly in this moment, that should have been like the most exciting time for me in celebrating. But you know what? I actually felt empty inside. I had the titles, I had the home, I was married, I had achieved everything on my list that the world told me that I should achieve. But inside, I felt alone. And that's when I realized that something I have been running from my entire life. No matter how much you achieve, if you don't have peace within, it will never feel like enough.